The Denver Broncos missing out on Cooper Kupp is actually a massive blessing in disguise, as now a six-time Pro Bowler is linked to your Denver Broncos to fill in as that Josh Reynolds role. Huge upgrade. We have the latest Mel Kiper mock draft that has the best receiver of the whole draft falling to us all the way at 20, that and way more in this video. If you're new to the channel, you know my cup is always half full. As a Broncos fan, I'm Ben, and it helps me in the YouTube algorithm out a lot if you would like and subscribe. So diving in here, I think missing out on Cooper Kupp, folks were thinking that was going to be the knockout blow of free agency. But if you just take a look at the fact that he is a 32-year-old who Sean Payton spent an entire vacation in Cabo picking his coach's brain, and we passed knowing that giving a guaranteed $45 million to an aging wide receiver just does not work out very often. And when you take a look at the fact that Courtland Sutton, who is our wide receiver one, is making just a little bit more than what you're giving Cooper Kupp, who's 3 years older than Courtland Sutton, it just does not make sense to me. I do think wide receiver room is a room that we need to step up in if we are running it back with just the exact same dudes. I'll be honest, I will be a little bit nervous. I'm incredibly bullish at the fact that we're going to see massive steps forward from Troy Franklin and Devon Vele this year. I think we're going to see more of Marvin Mims, but I do think I'd feel way more confident about guaranteeing that we win the AFC West if we make a move still for a wide receiver in free agency. So pretty nice for us that there are several free agent wide receivers who I think actually would be tremendous fits. They would not be culture drains on this organization. They would keep that young and hungry attitude here. And we have an article here on SI.com, not written by ChatGPT. I read the whole thing, and it all makes sense, no factual errors, that actually have your Denver Broncos being the top landing spot for a Sir Keenan Allen. So this would be a doubly fantastic move. Number one, we know this was Justin Herbert's number one target in LA just 2 years ago. And so we know that as the Chargers also need someone next to Ladd McConkey, that he is definitely going to be in conversations with the Chargers. So it'd be fantastic to beat them to the punch, just like we did with Evan Ingram, and get him. And I actually watched a ton of Chicago Bears this year. It was hate watching because I had a bet with a friend that the Broncos were going to win more than the Bears. And one of the reasons that Caleb Williams, his signing and his drafting was so bad was because you had nastiness in their wide receiver core. Caleb Williams had so much more talent to throw to than Bo Nix, and it wasn't even close. You do not see routes like this dirty from a guy at that age, and so we know he's not washed. He still has it. He is truly one of the best route runners in the entire game still, even at the age that he's at. I guess he'll be 33 when this season kicks off, but he still is shifty. He is a fantastic leader. He's not a culture drain like we see with a couple other guys we're going to look at here in a second. And not only is he a fantastic route runner, you just take a look at his big catch ability, and it's very Courtland Sutton-esque. Like, look at this catch that he had against the Minnesota Vikings in a meaningless moment of that game. But you see that fingertip toe tap catch, and that is absolutely wild and fantastic. So having Keenan Allen could be just a huge, massive upgrade for this season for us. And so to go from a Josh Reynolds who we ended up cutting after the crazy shooting incident that he had, I think you add him, you have Vele and Mims on the outside, and Troy Franklin taking a step forward, but then you add Keenan Allen to be a part of this veteran wide receiving core. I feel way, way better. Let me know in the comments, how hyped would you be if it was Keenan Allen that we end up getting? The big caveat with Keenan Allen is that we need him to stay healthy. He did suffer from a lot of soft tissue injuries this offseason. But you know, one way that you can make sure you avoid soft tissue injuries, we know that one of the biggest factors in the Denver Broncos having a fantastic year this year was how intensely they took training and recovery. And you can take that same winning approach with the sponsor of today's video, a product I use each and every day, and that is Bob and Brad C2 Pro Massage Gun. This thing is amazing. I remember the first time I saw one of those therapeutic massage guns on the sideline of an NFL game and thought, I need to have one of those. I carry a ton of tension up in my neck from being at my computer all day, chasing around those 4 kids, and this thing is wild, you guys. Developed by 2 legendary physical therapists, Bob and Brad, who have 60 years combined in the game. This thing charges via USB-C, which is the same thing that my iPad and my phone use, so it's super nice that I'm not looking for dongles and plugging things in. You get about 2 hours of battery life on here, and I love this feature that it has a heated and a cooled tip on here, so you can get this thing crazy fiery hot on your back as you're trying to warm up, and then you can switch it to cool as you're trying to recover after a tough workout. You are going to want to step up your recovery. Trust me, your sore, aching muscles will thank you. Check out the link to this product on Amazon in the description, and I got a promo code that will get you 10% off and step up feeling like a champion. So check it out. Your body's going to thank you. Bob and Brad, link in the description. So Keenan Allen would be a massive steal for the Broncos to get in free agency, stealing him before the Chargers get a chance to. But what if instead of Keenan Allen, we are able to get who I think is one of the top wide receivers on the entire board still, and that is your man right here, Tet McMillian, who had his pro day. He did not run in any of the combine drills, so folks were wondering, like, we know he's big, we know he's heavy. He's 6'4", 220. We had no idea how fast he was going to run. He ran a 4.48 40-yard dash, which is pretty phenomenal for that type of size and weight. So it reminds me a lot of Demaryius Thomas, who has a crazy build like a big tight end, but runs like there were wide receivers or there were running backs in the draft who weren't running 4.48. So this is just absolutely crazy. And so I think you're seeing tons of NFL scouts come out and say, man, if Tet is truly still on the board at 20, that would be the steal of the draft. And you are looking at an instant wide receiver 1. I don't think he has to be wide receiver 1. We saw Bo Nix at the ringside with Courtland Sutton. We saw him courtside with Courtland Sutton at the Nuggets game. I'm loving the vibes and the energy that wide receiver room has with Bo Nix, and I don't want anyone who's going to outshine that or interrupt the culture whatsoever. And from all of the interviews that I've watched with Tet McMillian, that could be absolutely crazy. Also cool to have a McMillian on both sides there, because obviously we got Jaquan McMillian on the other side there. And Mel Kiper has this very thing playing out for us and has Tet McMillian falling all the way to the Broncos at 20. If he's still on the board at 20, guys, how would you feel? I know in our minds we've all been thinking running back at 20, but if he ends up on the board at 20, would you jump at that, or do you think it's better to try to get a running back even if the first 2 running backs are off the board already by then? I don't want to draft for need going into this draft. I want to draft for who is the best player available at the 20th pick, and if that happens to be Ashton Genty or Omarion Hampton falling to us, that'd be great, but I don't want to be in a situation where we're grabbing the 3rd or the 4th best running back when we know first-round running backs don't even happen that often. So to all of a sudden jump and pounce on the 4th best running back or the 3rd best running back in a class, I'm not thrilled with that. So if Tet McMillian is still on the board at 20 and we are without Omarion Hampton, without Ashton Genty, I think get Tet. That would be absolutely wild. Another thing that I think would be fantastic here in the pursuit of hoping that Ashton Genty lands with us at 20, there are a couple teams we know we need him to fall past, and I think him falling past the Raiders, the best chance of him falling past the Raiders would be that the Raiders end up drafting Shedeur Sanders with the 6th overall draft pick. I actually have pretty high hopes for Shedeur Sanders. I'm a big fan of Coach Prime and the CU program, and I think, yes, there's some diva to him, but I do think that he has the potential of being an NFL quarterback. So if the Raiders were to tag team him and have him be the backup to Geno Smith, it would probably help his development long-term to sit behind a starter like a Geno Smith. And you are seeing on Instagram, these guys are already friends. So might that be some signaling that we know that Coach Prime and that Shedeur are going to have a lot of say in where they go? And are they signaling here to the teams before them at number 6, like, hey, you can draft me at number 4, but I'm not going, I guess it wouldn't be 4, that's the Patriots, but like, hey, you can draft me at 2, I'm not going to you, let me fall to the Raiders, and that would be great for us, because if he falls, if the Raiders pick Shedeur, that means Ashton Genty falls. We just got to make sure he gets past the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys kind of loaded up with Javonte. They feel like they have something there. There are tons of social media articles about how great Javonte is going to be. And then he needs to fall past the Bears, and I just don't see. Ben Johnson has so much to do to get that team relevant again. I don't see them getting a running back early. So, man, then if you're talking Ashton Genty is still on the board at 20, just take your shirts off right now, because that is going to be a real crazy, crazy party. So let me know in the comments what you think about all that. I think Tet could be an amazing fit for us. I see a lot of the Keenan Allen skill set in him and big game catcher, but I also just see like a younger frame obviously in him. And I think he can fight through a double team, and I just think you get him learning from a Courtland Sutton. That could be a phenomenal thing, and it keeps that young and hungry core together. So that could be really, really cool. Let me know in the comments what you think about that. Either way, our receiving core is so good. They are so close. They are so bonded, and I want that to continue. I think we saw this year that a team is more than just the sum of its parts. A team is all about culture and together. We know Sean Payton can set that culture for winning and have it permeate through. We just got to make sure we have a locker room that doesn't have any me first guys in it. And I love the chemistry that Bo Nix and Sean Payton and Courtland Sutton have together. And I hope that we give Courtland Sutton a re-upped deal this year. And so we're going to be keeping an eye on that for sure. And then the last thing I just thought was incredible, just to hype you up even more about the Broncos and the future for this team, is that we had heard multiple times that the offer from the 49ers and the offer for the Broncos for Dre Greenlaw's services were nearly identical. And what makes it even better is that the 49ers did a last-minute plea even after the tweet had dropped that Dre Greenlaw was coming to Denver. The San Francisco 49ers made another deal and reached back out to him. And so I think that just proves to you that what Sean Payton is building here in Denver, he is a player magnet, and people want to be a part of this because greatness is in store for us. And we have so much to believe in. People are picking the Denver Broncos over their home team. They're not giving home team discounts to their former team. They're coming to Denver because this is where the championship banners are going to be, and that's something we should all believe in.